the bonus weapon. Core has found the first pick on Amanek. Pushed past that smoke. I imagine he probably peeked in the left-hand side of that big gap that's there. That SMG starts to work into the alley control, hoping to catch off some CT presence, but so far, so little has been gained.
You mentioned in the pregame the X factor that G2 have, and the one thing that I think mousesports have is that X factor of Acor. Think about that game yesterday against K23. It almost felt like Mo, the Kakistani AWPer, was, you know, hitting some average shots where Acor, he was hitting the mad flicks. He was incredibly consistent, and he was hitting the really hard shots. And for that reason, you've got to wonder that when his AWP is in his hands on Vertigo on the T side, he can really start to find some impact once we start getting into the opening rifle rounds.
Slow facing for now. Hunter and Nexa taking face, utility over, no flashes, and that actually allows a pick on the MAC-10 as an automatic to work with, but not the firepower here for the CT side. If that was an AK, it could have given them a bonus to get one more good frag back, but Nico and Jax should get overwhelmed, and indeed Nico does. Jax slow to rotate, tapping on that bomb. Is he going to give away position? No, he's not, so he's going to at least know that they're trying to fake him, but Rops swings out the back regardless. Coming in for that mid-backstab 3-0 for mousesports. Good start for them on T. G2 now have the guns back out. The AWPs can be affordable. They get the AWP out as well. They can definitely afford that, and Amanek will buy down.
It does seem, as of late, it's more so like Amanek being the main AWP and Nico being a little bit more of a hybrid secondary AWP. Bit of role changing again going in with the G2 camp. So wait to kind of see, as the maps continue moving forward, who's going to be picking up the AWP between both Nico and Amanek. Good to see Jax back in this lineup as well. We knew that he's been a part of this lineup for what feels like, what, two and a half years now. Sort of started off with 3D Max playing with Jinx and David P and players like that before sort of making his move up. And then even recently when he got benched, he was playing with Double Pony, with MBK and Afro and Jocko, and now coming back into the lineup. Really being able to sort of maintain that spot and... yeah, nothing worse than being benched and then finding out that you're coming back. It's just that relief factor, really, of, okay, like, I don't have to kind of find a new home. I'm back in the team.
Back in this round here, G2, the first gun round. AUG on Hunter and the utility around the M4s for the most part. Again, AWP on Amanek. Very, very clean stat line, by the way. 1 kill apiece and 3 deaths apiece for G2. That makes my...
You like that, yeah.
yeah, that makes my brain tingle, so I like that. First frag found by Amanek, though, so he's going to absolutely break that stat line, but does get the advantage for G2. And right now, that's the most important thing for them. Definitely more important than my satisfaction. Frag found on a core, but Jax is traded by Dexter at the edge of the smoke. The AWP of Amanek desperate to try and find a response, but he's going to get forced back into the back of the site.
A beautiful trade there from Dexter. You see the AWP v AWP battle coming through. CT's win it out, and then rather than kind of bottling more utility in towards that ramp position, instead Dexter's playing in and around the smokes, finds the right angle. You've got a lurk out from Rops, looking to try and do some damage up towards the mid player. Just this one pick from Rops could really sort of tiptoe the whole scale of the round, start scrambling the rotations. Nexa, again, the only defender out towards that B side, and Rops is going to try and hold Hunter at mid.
Incendiary on to counteract the position Rops wants to take. That smoke, of course, going down to the mid control. Should know that that player's in a scaff. The further utility on. That nade actually landed pretty perfectly. Rops attack to 45. Still a 4-on-4 situation, but a HP advantage that G2 can work with. That side alley player could be in for a lot of success. That depends, really. He's going to have to strike in against this A site on the defensive. Got to get this first pick on Frozen, ideally, and indeed the shoulder bait gives up his life. BMAS there with a quick trade, and Nico with a quick response, wrapping back into the A site defensive. 20 seconds. He wasn't spotted by the AWPer. He flips back up towards Sniper's Nest instead, where the AUG is standing, doing its damage. 22 points of health for him. Further flashes in. That bomb is going to be attempted and planted.
Dexter taking a lot of damage, being legged up by the AWP. Dexter being stuck out in the open, wasn't able to fall back towards yellow, and now man advantage coming through from G2 on the retake.
Rops hiding back at these sandbags. Got to just check the right place at the right time. Oh, the timing! Unscoping at the worst moment. He was also seen. Flashes evaded, looking up and down. It's the catch-up frag. His shot on Nico connects. BMAS now known on ramp. Trying to see if we can take that low HP player. Spray back on Hunter, not as successful. One-on-one, Hunter's going to force forward. Get that headshot in, but no kit means no time. He actually just pick it up on the site itself. And I think he's just got enough time to hold this together. Indeed, G2 will find their first round. The gun round goes the way of the CT side.
Nicely done on the retake, being able to con that info pretty much straight away that the kit's right over towards the site itself, pick it up and get back onto that bomb. mousesports, it seemed like they did a lot right there. They were able to, it looked like in terms of the mid round that they wanted to actually commit out towards a mid to B split, or at least to have that single lurk from Rops out from mid, the rest of the players up towards B stairs. They brought it back out from ramp. They traded the AWP 1v1, but for Dexter, he needed to fall back to hold the 3v3, and unfortunately, he wasn't able to do so.
SMG and a Jack Trusty being forced very far forward in this. Seeing T-side presence, gets the kill and alongside Hunter. Frozen can't find the trade again at the edge of the smoke. But it's a 2-for-1 start that favors G2. mousesports heavily pressured by these rifle positions. And G2 actually going to go ahead and full send into the A side. They haven't seen that bomb. They are going to be very passive on the B play. If they rotate now, mousesports probably could isolate the kill one next to it and actually get that bomb plant.
In terms of fighting ramp early round, it seems like G2 are doing a very good job of finding the man advantages. Rop's timing is pretty much going to have to be everything if he lurks up towards the B stairs. And for G2, they're now starting to make a little bit of an info play. Two players getting aggressive up towards mid, see if they can get in behind, down from ladder, and see if they can get and catch the T side sleeping.
Down Hunter goes, Accord's going to escape alongside Frozen's position. Rops is starting to make his way up. Smoke being thrown out here by Nexa. Oh, Hunter's seen information. He's got this. He's won this round at this stage. Just a case of timing, lining up the headshot, spray through, drops that bomb. Incendiary to stall for even extra time. Rops and Frozen trying to fight their way back out. They will get Nexa, but now they've got a hunt for Hunter, and it's just not going to happen. 3 kills for the SMG. So much impact found. The bomb in CT control, and Rops, this would be a really special clutch. If not, he's out.
1v3, time's not really on his side, and he's just got to kind of hope that he can isolate these 1v1s incredibly quickly, but he's out of time now. Might just want to try and save onto this AK, hope that he doesn't get swung on. And for G2, like that backstab, it could have gone either way. They could have gone down ladder and gone over towards ramp and seen nothing, but instead, they make the move out towards the B stairs. Oh, Rob's hearing some more footsteps. Oh, almost deals with Hunter late round. He actually picks up an AWP, so that's more investment being saved in from G2. And it just got to a point that the timing was everything. And once that bomb gets dropped and the incendiary comes in from Hunter, that round's done from there, even with Rops opening up the bomb site.
You mentioned them going to wrap back through the ladder room to catch the T-side sleeping. That's exactly what happened there. mousesports so unaware of what could have come their way. Now it's a hero AK around with a saved weapon, of course, from Rops. Not much of a choice in the matter. Glocks out, P250. Seriously lacking on the mousesports setup, but for an eco, it's the best that they can do. If they can take Nexa, then that could be the way in. You think he seems trying to give up an angle. If he swung wide, that's an easy frag for Rops. I think he knows that. Be very careful about this position here. He's the only central defender. Has 2 players to back him up. That flashbang now sees what's going on. The majority of T-side players caught off. Now the hit's going to get forced out by these pistols. Nexa bailed out by Hunter. 2 frags to his name. Trying to make it a triple. In the end, does get overwhelmed. But he's done enough. Nico and Hunter here to score.
There's so many players out towards the B side that really Acorn and Rops aren't going to be able to do much. Maybe they can catch this one player on rotation from Jax, but he already heard the step down coming from the top of the stairs down to underneath, so knows that there's probably a player just waiting for him. And no one's really peeking here from G2. They're playing so disciplined in the matter. They don't need to peek. They know that the only thing in play is that hero AK, and for Rops, he's already on 16 HP.
Him and a core wondering how they outplay this. Ideally, they need to go down so that way they can get the money out of this round. Rops can throw that AK off the building. That'd be even better, especially as the last man standing, and Nico actually gets the frag together. So you grab that AK. In the end, going their way. 3-all to the board, G2. Now got the main rifles to contend with here on the mousesports side. They might have got those pistols and conversions, but G2 and the big guns come out. Start to look really proficient. Not quite balancing out the stats just yet, but that's where the opportunities can change here. Right now, Hunter's the only player in the green. But mousesports don't have an orb to back them up, so it's just going to be the straight AKs, and once again, the ramp default will start.
And anytime they've gone for an early ramp default, they just keep getting hit by either nades or just an opening frag being found. Nade stack coming through. Not a massive amount of damage, but it is chip work. 2 players now starting to slow walk out from the mid pressure. This is actually the first time we've seen 2 players playing out from mid. It's normally just been Rob solo.
Him and Dexter trying to combine, force Nico away, and force expecting to be a boost pulls out utility at the worst moment, but Hunter is there for a quick response, so no man advantage for mousesports that lasts long. Immediately return to the even standing. Jack actually makes the man advantage happen as the ramp control again favors G2. You mentioned how they get pelted with utility and a kill. This time it's both around for the 2-for-1 to the favor of the CT side.
Hunter might be able to make the exact same play that he did only in the previous. And be able to just aggress, get him from behind them. For mousesports, it's just going to come down to how quickly can they get out from ramp, because for Hunter, he could be on for a couple of kills, especially if Jax doesn't get checked from sandbags.
Rifles out, AWP also in the back lines. Hunter comes in with the backstab, gets that kill. Jack swings, drops the bomb, all left to Dexter, blind as a bat. And that was a wonderfully played defensive there, especially on the backline player. Straight out of a ramp, mousesports again caught with their pants down. They haven't got anyone who's keeping their eyes on the backs. That's the second time a backstab has shut the round down for them.
Yeah, Dexter's going to realize that pretty quickly. Him and Myth are just looking at this and thinking, right, how do we actually play this? Do we just play so much more passive mid and wait for the aggression? Or if we are taking ramp or we are taking B stairs, we are having eyes on the backlines. That's twice now in the past 7 rounds that G2 have made a big backstab play, and both times it has been crucial for the round victory.
The Eagles on 4 players, Rops does find the opening frag this time. That's an AK picked up, and now Nexus isolated. If they storm the B site now, they could probably be in with the round itself. It's all on him to try and hold off in a clutch scenario, but only gets 1 frag for it. BMAS with the trade, and Rob still waits to scaff. 1 CT player can creep up CT spawn. Nico is seeing players crossing back. The bomb plant will be secured at open. 4-on-3 situation. Did G2 even go for this? Did they think about the safe call here?
They might, because they're in a position where they don't really have a lot of utility. Maybe try and throw it at least looking for exit kills. If you can get a pick, then go in for the retake. But very difficult situation, and Rops is pretty much going to end that retake. They've got to save from here. It's not worth going for the 2v4. What a walkout that was from mid. Rops just finding Hunter completely off guard. Didn't see him coming. Doesn't quite check Nico's position, so it can upgrade that M4 to an AK, but no more is going to happen in the round. And they just work with the info. Another great shot for the T side. But it's like, as soon as they deal with the mid player, they know the G2 have only been playing 1 anchor at B, so let's just storm it out. They find that one-on-one trade to Nexa, and from there, they open up the site, they take the bomb, and for G2, they try to go in for the retake, but they just don't get in the kills, and they've got to end up saving.
Yeah, Rops with the winning round play. Ultimately come down to that one Deagle shot. If they had held contest in that position, then maybe the outcome could have been different for G2, but just the fact of that one shot coming in and the lack of the mid presence in general, as they tried to go passive as mousesports went aggressive. And Nexa, there was no way he was going to win that. Even against pistols, they would have had to bottleneck themselves. He would have had to catch them off guard. They were geared to win that round, and that's exactly what they're going to do. But in this one, Hunter gets the opening frag. So far pushed up at the scaffolding position, gets the secondary frag as well on Dexter. So once again, G2 out of the gate, swinging on the ramp default, this time pushing so far forward, and mousesports caught so unawares in another round here.
And they've got to find another way to deal with this ramp aggression, because they keep losing ramp, and they keep taking so much damage for it. Nexa now starting to press aggressively. I mean, there's just so many pushes going on for G2. Oh, the timing as well. Robs was holding that angle, and for Nexa, this could be another backstab for the CDs.
And passing weapons back so they can pick the AK back up. Does anyone keep their eyes on the backline? Does anybody account for the backstab this time? Right now, nobody does, as the CTs just wait. Nexus kind of hoping that they make their way back into the stairs. Amanek with the AWP. Ready for Rops. Swing, hit, easy for this AWP to land. He's had that shot many times over the course of this map up so far. 2 standing for mousesports. BMAS is going to try and make the bomb into the site. Amanek throws it forward, gets the no-scope shot as well. And Nico cleans house on the back of the site. What a round from G2. And mousesports, I don't know how they play this ramp default any better. Like, they're just consistently getting taken out with easy frags, easy utility plays. G2 always finding their number here. What are they doing so wrong there?
That's a good question. It seems like for G2 that there's just so much pressure being applied on so many areas of the map. Like we've seen, obviously, Nexa has been quite passive over towards the B side, but then there's even rounds that he's taking B stairs by himself. And for G2, they're not afraid of getting up close and personal. You saw in that last round, like how Hunter got right down towards the bottom of ramp, tries to take the fights immediately. And then you've even got an AWPer from Amanek that's like not even playing up towards Sniper's Nest or Orange. He's actually looking to try and get in towards side alley, take a kill up towards top, and then re-aggress and even find the no-scope. mousesports have got to put more entities towards ramp. They've got to try and fight the manpower with the manpower. That's the only real way that they can come out on top. Yeah, they might be getting hit by the spam and the nades, but they've got to be able to maintain the area of the map. It's getting to a position where ramp is just a gold mine, really, for G2, and mousesports have got to come up with a way on how to make it not a gold mine anymore.
A slight tech pause before they start mining. And Frozen having to restart his PC. Hopefully shouldn't take too long to get that going. I'm not sure what the tech issue is. I can imagine it's only related to the earlier pause that we had. I think he's back in server, although the HUD does show us 2 versions of ROPS. Transitioning into a technical timeout. Okay, all right, then that's tactical. Tactical for mousesports, I guess, at this stage. 5-4 still for their own board. I imagine that's just to extend the timer a little bit longer in this case. They have got all 5 players in, so I'm going to assume that there aren't 2 versions of ROPS there.
mousesports would probably like that, but yeah, no, not going to happen. And for G2, like this is a really good start on Vertigo. Yeah, maybe the scoreline only depicts that they're up by 1 at 5-4, but you look at the start that came in for mousesports. They won pistol, they won the anti-eco, they went up 3-0, and now it's been 5 out of the past 4 rounds being won by G2, and they're starting to farm up a little bit of cash from some of the players in their economy. Nico's got a bit in the reserve, Amanek too, Hunter. The one thing they do have to be careful of, though, is single round loss bonus 1400. They can't really afford to lose too many players up against this eco. They've got to strengthen the bank across all the players, and well, for ROPS, he's the one to be able to deal with Hunter in the early rounds.
That's much better to the start. Deagle straight in, Hunter straight down. And this time, mousesports evade the damage for the most part here in the ramp default. Not going to lose a pick back to the likes of Jax, even though he really wants one. A lot of presence held towards mid as they expect ROPS to continue facing here. He is starting to aggress. Might like to recover that rifle, but if he does, face into the hands of Nico. Nico gets that pick back. Mac 10 in for the next player. Dexter doesn't quite catch the individual. That's fine, though. Happy to sit back in a 4v4.
We've seen a lot of the international squads really show up over the course of this closed qualifier, haven't we? We've seen sort of Movistar Riders being the one team that I think a lot of people didn't expect to do as well as they have. And mousesports and G2 trying to see if they could fight to continue their run into the upper bracket. And 4v4, 2 plays out towards the A site. And Bemis with the Galil. A little bit of weaponry behind them, but Jack's actually pushing quite far forward, taking the fight. Now the advantage have got back the way of the CDs.
Dexter down, Nico watching for Frozen's next face. Will take some damage with this Deagle. Bomb does get dropped by Jack's side alley. Frozen with 1 response, that's as far as it goes now. All on a core. Swing back, spray through, does find the frag, has bombed the minion. Needs to find himself 2 more good picks, but Nexa in with his frag will leave it to 2 players alive for the G2 side, 6-4 to the board. And the CTs maintain their control despite a great start on mousesports. Damage was done in that eco round. Now the true buy can come through, but can they break the backs of G2's economy here? They kind of need to at this stage.
Yeah, this one round could be the difference maker for mousesports. They win it, they could actually take a lead back just with the way the economy sits. But for G2, they win this round and they just kind of continue momentum and they put more pressure on the back of mousesports to be able to deliver on the T side of their map pick. Acor looking in for a straight NWP duel up towards the top of ramp. Amanek doing the same. Both AWPers missing out on their chances though.
Dexter tags, however, so for the most part, it's an advantage for the G2 side. Not a man advantage, not an opening kill, just tags up. Might come back to hinder Dexter later. For now, they are just pressing onto the ramp default. G2 going to go passive in this one. Jax and Nico here on the ace site in various different positions, but just waiting back for that play, waiting back for that next phase in the mousesports side.
First time I've actually ever seen that AWP out towards mid, and for Amanek, this just might be a slow walk. Try and see if you can catch off the lurker from Rops. They know that he's constantly been out towards this mid position. Do they catch the angle? Yes, they do. Good shot coming through for Amanek, and another 5-on-4 being won by G2. Wonderfully
done there from the AWP. Patient, slow, catching the right angle at the right moment. Rops couldn't get a chance to get a tag off. And now he's going to continue with his backstab. A third one going to be attempted by G2 in this map up. The core takes some more damage as well as Amanek creeps in. Will he catch the bomb carrier? It looks likely that he might do. He's got to keep his head on the swivel though, because there's more T-side presence back over at the B side. Swing up, shot connects, second player wrapping around, AK spray, Amanek still lands it! And a core 1v5 for him. He gets that one frag, but surely he's out of this with 15 seconds. Hunter takes his head off his shoulders, and Amanek gets a beautiful 3K that sets G2 up for 7.
Oh, the backstabs, they just don't stop. They keep coming from G2. The slow walk in from mid, catches off Rops, goes down the ladder towards the lower portion of the map, catches off all of the info towards ramp. He's hearing the util come out of the top, drops that bomb, deals with Dexter, and then here's the footsteps right around the corner from him at the forklift, gets that shot off. A 3K overall for Amanek. mousesports are struggling on this T side.
They really are. They really, really are. And that is concerning. To remind you all, this is their map pick, and on the previous series they played on Virtus.pro, it was a 16-6 victory for mousesports. So to see them not getting anything on this T-side basis, I realize that their last map was also CT-sided for them, but mousesports really not getting off on the right foot for this. Nades going back and forth. Nexa hoping to catch players off at the white boxes. We'll get that first frag. BMAS there with the trade. Hunter close. Nico finds his response. Dexter can turn the Deagle into a 3 versus 3. So there's a bomb plant here for mousesports.
This is very winnable for Mouse, but they've got to be able to find another advantage. They can't just afford to be passive out on the side. They've got to really try and take some fights, and they've been able to do so. Amanek now falling. Jack's been spotted up on the rotate from the B stairs. So much info coming in, and Acor now deals with Nico, meaning that Jax is the last one left, yet to try and see if he can clutch for G2. And for mousesports, no one's peeking here at all. They're shoulder baiting. They peek together, and Bemis finds the right angle. 5 on the board for mousesports. Really nice shots again coming through. And for mousesports, it always seems like whenever they're on an eco or like a hero kind of buy, they seem to be very, very deadly, but not so much when it comes to the rifle rounds.
And that's, again, to call back to what I was mentioning earlier, a bit concerning for mousesports. When the big guns come out is when you should be winning these rounds ideally, and just not able to do so, relying heavily on a little bit of luck to get them through on those decos. Now the Eagles are out for the G2 side on their own eco basis. Upgrade pistols across most of the board. USP and Jax being the only player that hasn't brought down that far, but set up on ramp with a heavy stack, and mousesports love this default. G2 know it. They look to try and punish.
Get up close and personal. Now, mousesports are playing this ramp default incredibly passive, not really getting too aggressive at all, not really looking to try and take the fight straight away up towards the CTs, waiting for that mistake to come in. And considering the money line for G2, they haven't actually invested a lot into this eco. Not really any utility, no Kevlar to come through from any of these players, but there is a lot of portion of players up towards A.
Molotov's in, AK up, shot on the first player, sees that second Hunter with a trade back, bursting through with a CZ, gets a secondary frag as well. 3 versus 3, despite the lack of major firepower for G2 in this round. BMAS will start the face up towards the B side, that bomb's on its rotation as well. One player in mid's going to hear those footsteps. BMAS is going to wait for them to force forward into an advanced angle, take the headshots as appropriate, tap through in the first man. Hunter almost gets away with the kill on that. Damage being done to BMAS, however, just maintains himself. And Amanek with the AWP, probably best to save here. Back in the lower levels of the map. Won't contest on the retake.
A bit of a shame that Nexa or Hunter didn't go to try and find that extra AK just to be able to have a little bit more weaponry to save into the next. But you could see straight away that once they're able to recover that one AWP from one of the dead T side of members of ACOR, that Amanek just wants to save instantly, and the other couple of players go right. We'll just go quickly in towards the B side, try and see if we can do some damage and even win the round from here if we can able to find a bit more of a connection. Not to be. mousesports holding on and trying to bring back this deficit now on T side. 6 rounds up for them, only by 1. And for G2, this is very pleasing for them, knowing that they're going into the next rifle round, into round 14, and they don't even need to invest into an AWP for Amanek.
Yeah, weapon saved, and now mousesports starting to look a little bit stronger again. Was against the pistols in that one, so with the rifles out for this, see whether G2 can continue to hold dominion over the mousesports side. Of course, the AK's in on round 14, so Moneyline should enable a decent buy for round 15 for mousesports at least, and the same can't be said for G2, so much more important round for them. Orbs in, M4 spray, nades up, B-Mass has fallen once again to start things off. Frozen will find that trade. Taking even more damage, burning to 14. So, again, with the ramp default, G2 are the ones that come out on top.
And they don't take it completely this time around. And Rob sees the player up towards Banger, at least gets that one-on-one trade. Nicely done from Hunter. Re-smoke out towards the stairs, pick up a smoke off the dead teammate. But for mousesports, they're now starting to regroup out towards the B site. Hunter is the only anchor here, and Frozen's now picked up the AWP, knowing that he's the low HP player.
Minute to the clock. Flashing from Hunter, the smoke suppress, going to stop them from making their way forward. mousesports are going for the full-blown execution. Hunter's ahead of the smoke, they've also put down to their own. Right gap being seen, good flick to Dexter, does his damage, but Dexter comes away from that alive. Bomb plant can be secured. Amanek's going to try and swing if they can swing to deny it. Incendiary's up, will burn some players very, very low. 2 on single digits of HP. Dexter's center of the site as well on default. Smokes back to provide a bit of cover for Amanek. Dexter trying to look below it, hoping that there's a CT that might over-aggress in this one. G2 have a look in the back off. I think, no, they get the kill on Dexter. Going to force back forward, but the AWP Frozen deals with that player. Amanek still going to go for it. Time is ticking, has the kit in play at least. Both individuals at the mousesports side have angle on the bomb in case the defuse does get stuck, and Amanek knows that. He's got very little chances. He'll fall back and save the weapon. Concede 7 to mousesports. G2 have held the lead for the longest time in this half, but mousesports may be bringing it right back.
Now, they've had to work for these T-side rounds. It has not been easy by any stretch of the imagination for mousesports. And for G2, this was the right call. Money is not really looking that great. They know that they wouldn't have been able to afford an AWP onto Amanek going into round 15 if he went for it and he wasn't able to be successful. A couple of M4s for Nexa and Nico, backed up by just MP9s. A couple of kits in play, a decent amount of utility, but for mousesports, this is the perfect opportunity for them to be able to turn this first half into a lead and into a positive.
Flashes over the AWP, looking down, the SMG caught off first through the smoke. Frozen opens up better here for the mousesports side. G2 not getting away with the damage this time, not getting away with that opening frag. Of course, hunting for a little bit more. I think he can just about see above that smoke. Amanek, the same can be said for him. They're both looking at the same position, but unable to find the right angle to take each other out. So, start out. Nico got 2 more potentials. Trades here in the mid position. Rops, drive facing. They're going to line up for him. Nico gets both the picks in one good spray.
What an off angle. You don't expect someone to be as wide as he was out towards that left-hand side, and they just try and jiggle pick, and then they swing together, and Nico just punishes. ACOR looking for the trade back up towards the site itself in the ramp position. Back to a 3v3, but Amanek might be there to try and get the trade frag.
B-Mash just going to slow face. Frozen leaning up with him. Nexa watching at the banger position. Will they read his angle? Will they check his angle? Start the face up. B-Mass looking on top of the railing. They're going to line up again. M4 gets both the kills again. Oh, this is starting to fall to disaster for mousesports. 2 great off angles working so well. And now a core with the AWP. The P250 is going to get that frag in. The Molotov standing by here. Pulling back the AWP, looking on site. 20 seconds. AK switched out towards Nico. Not get forced too far off position. Smokes back at the right-hand side. The bomb plant's going to be attempted. It's a fake. He's still going to fall for it, though. Takes that swing. Accord taps it again. Nico jumps around the corner, but Amanek lands the shot instead from the backstab, so it turns an 8-7 half to the favor of G2. Just about coming on top of their CT side. They held most of the dominance. And going into their T side is where things get interesting. We're going to a break. We come back with that CT side after this.
Pretend that you will make a change, 'cause you don't want to change. I'm gonna be real honest this time. I'm okay with it, I am more than fine. I'm gonna roll all less red dice now. Tell me I won't get out. Alone among the stars, without forgetting who I was, or have to look back that far. And I don't want to forget who, get who. And are you just fucking around in my mind one last time? I'm gonna be real honest this time. I'm okay with it, I am more than fine. I'm gonna roll all less red dice now. Tell me I won't get out. Tell me I won't get out. Tell me I trap me inside your walls now. Tell me I won't get out. Tell me I won't get out. Crush me with all that you are now. Tell me I won't get out. So tell me I won't get out.
Well, G2 hold the lead for the moment. mousesports have kept it together towards the end of that half, and things do look relatively confident for them. But their main issues in the rifle rounds were still cropping up in limited quantities in those last few rounds, and going into their CT side. Again, in that last map that these two teams played against each other, mousesports had a better half on CT, so this is their chance to really run away with this, or G2's chance to make serious adjustments now.
For G2, I think they played an exceptional game in that first half. They really were able to continue fighting from ramp. Amanek really got to show up with that AWP. And for mousesports, they've got to be able to bounce back. I know that the scoreline is only a deficit of 1, but really, I think that they were just outclassed in that first half. They were lucky enough to be able to win pistol and get off to that 3-0 start. And at least they got the economy game rolling in their favor towards the back end of the half. But in terms of the majority of the rifle rounds, I think that G2 had the advantage. They've got to wonder, now going over towards CT, the favored half for mousesports statistically, is this really where they start coming alive and putting on some pressure? At least for G2, we're seeing 3 sets of util in the pistol round.
Okay, definitely non-standard. See what we got to work with. Pistols in for a call to try and face towards the ramp defaults. We've seen a little bit about what G2 have done here on the ramp control. mousesports trying to take their own positions this time. Taps through, Frozen gets that opening frag. Jax will be able to return the trade to a 4 versus 4. Accord backing up and out of here. Slowly, BMAS also makes his own way into the backstab alongside Dexter a little bit further behind him. Nico with the swing and the hit, and BMAS now has the strike. 2 players singing, including that bomb. He doesn't get the bomb carrier, does get Nexa to a 3v3 situation, and Rops backs up behind the smoke. Jax will go for the plant very early here. Retake mode on for mousesports. They do not have a kit in play, but Nico is taken out of play as well. Rops and Jax close to each other. Jax gets swung upon. Dexter gets the double, and the backstab completes itself for mousesports to gain 8 the pistol round.
That was a good read to come through from mousesports. They realized straight away with that dual peek towards the top of ramp, there's such a heavy stack here. Let's start moving quite aggressively. And that's when the backstabs start to come through from Bemis and Dexter. One thing to also keep an eye out for in that last round for G2, they hardly got to use any of their utility. Amanek was the only one to actually use any. Hunter and Nexa brought down to util, but they got picked off before they could use any of it. So it got to a position that they've got all this util being expended into, but they didn't have a chance of actually being able to throw any of it.
T-side will have limited util for this next round here. There's no player saving their util, no player saving everything. Of course, everybody went down, so G2 take this awkward force buy on the chin. A Mac-10 and a Deagle to back up the 2 Galils and the AK. Not the most ideal of T-side buys, even for a bomb plant bonus. There's a few SMGs in play alongside the mousesports camp as well with their MP9. The M4s, however, on 3 individuals, so they've definitely got the better of the weapons in play.
A slow walk out from mid for 3 players here from the T side. Been very silent about their approach. None of the util or footsteps have been made. Light swing coming through from Bemis, tries to commit to the spray. A lot of info gets relayed over towards Dexter, but for G2, it is that one-on-one trade, and they can pick back up that AK from Jax.
Slow rotations inbound, Frozen. MP9, Amanek. Deagle trying to make some sort of presence held here towards the B site, but G2 seemingly they want to go towards the A play. Frozen caught off guard. No, he actually catches Dexter off guard, snoozing in the corner. Hunter will find the trade to a 3-on-3. They've now seen presence. They know where the majority of those T-side players are, but will they go for a last-second wraparound? They're not hearing any footsteps, and they're seeing utility come down here towards the A site instead. Call's going to get ahead of the marker and wait towards side alley. Turning away from Flash Smith, and there'll be more coming through in one. Does go out successfully. Robs trades back on both those players, though, leaving it all on Hunter, who finds Dexter one-on-one against Robs. Very easily winnable here. The AK switched out towards, but Hunter can win his spray, get a 3K, and get the 9th round for G2 to maintain the lead.
Oh, what a beautiful round from Hunter. And for G2, they had to get those kills pretty much in straight away. Everyone had rotated out towards the A site there from mousesports. And for Hunter, he just gets entry after entry. The clock is down low. He's got to try and pick up that bomb, get it back towards the site. And Robs just offers up the duel, tries to jiggle peek wide and see if he can find the one-on-one. And it doesn't quite happen. Money now being reset for mousesports. They're going to have to force buy. The economy's just not been built up from the early start.
Damage has been done in the early round, however. At least, again, mousesports have held similar contention to G2's defaults, even with the Deagles in play. And something you mentioned, of course, in that first half was how mousesports were having much better deco rounds than they were having rifles. And Rops shows the point.
No!
Kills with Nico. Amanek! Where did he go? What happened there?
I don't know what happened, but he fell off. Maybe trying to get onto the railing and just wasn't able to get over. I'm not sure what happened, but the T side, they're now down to just 3, and for mousesports, they've got a 2-man advantage.
Just as I'm talking about the more successful decos as well, mousesports currently in control. Their pistols watching for contact. BMAS shoulder baiting, got 1 player back of quad. Just hide until the moment is right. A 3rd man also there at the CT entrance. Utility inbound. Flash is going to be turned away from BMAS, and Robs take their aggressive positions, and BMAS does go falling for it. 35 seconds, and Robs continues to wait and bait and swing. Misses shots, allow Jax a chance to get the kills, but Dexter trades back on the bomb carrier. 2 versus 2. Hunter solo. Dexter has been tagged. Continuing his spam. The bomb plant will be attempted and secured, but surely mousesports go for this. They've got the HP advantage. They've got the weapons required, but they've let G2 back up to the stairs.
You've got to go for this if you're mousesports, and they've got to be able to at least find a way to get these kills in pretty quickly. No kit or smoke to get on top of that bomb, and a HE in from Nexa could be timed perfectly up towards a default position. Hunter just trying to tap away. Great shot now coming into Frozen. Dexter's the last one left. Has turned it back to a 1v1 and looking to try and take the fight straight away onto Nexa. He's got to find a headshot and it doesn't come through. 10 on the board for G2. What a recovery from them, Jay. After they were down in a 3-on-5, they clutch out that round, and for mousesports, there is no chance for a buyback from them. They were double eco in the last, they force board. Now they've got to eco into round 19. For G2, this is a chance for them to start building on their lead now.
And for mental recovery as well, thanks to that that drop off the ledge from Amanek. You would have thought after a play like that, after a mistake like that, G2's morale would be down in the dumps and they wouldn't be in any position to clutch that round. But like you mentioned, what a recovery. Down to the basic eco now for mousesports. Deagle's in on Dexter and Rops, the upgrade pistols without Kevlar, without utility. $1,800 on the float, so a buy can be afforded by the CT side going into round 20, and that's going to be their main thing. Any damage that they can do can just set themselves up for the reset, and that's going to be their aim for here.
Get these Mac 10s farming. And Nexa and Amanek, they can start building up some money themselves. That's going to help them start building up a little bit of a bank on this T side. And knowing the kind of weaponry we can see from mousesports, there's not a lot. G2 are going to read that when they force board in the last round and they eco into the second, like, they're not going to have that much upgrades. You've got, what, 2 Deagles up for Dexter and Rops, and that's it. USPs for the rest of them. G2 really running down the clock here, but looking to start to regroup up towards the B stairs and to commit into the B site.
Molotov's on Rops again, close range with the Deagle. They expect the same position twice. He's up close to the sandbags, and Amanek takes the frag pretty easily. Molotov's coming in to sail right past him. It's down to the battle into the site, and 2 CTs are here with USPs. Seeing what damage they can do. The Deagle's also on the way. BMAS actually does catch 1 frag through the smoke on Jax. Nico trades Dexter, and Amanek forces forward, sees 2, takes damage, eventually gets the kill on 1, and a core also being spotted as well. Out of ammo for Amanek's part, though. Glock's going to come through. He's got to get support, and a core will get overwhelmed and backstab players as well. So, 11-8, G2 up by a number of rounds in the lead. And other than that one tactical pause that followed the technical, we haven't seen any major adjustments from mousesports. I'm hoping one comes in soon because G2 are edging closer and closer to the end of the map.
I'd love to see these Mac 10s not get upgraded. I know that Amanek is probably one of like the best Mac 10 players there is right now. He's always been great for them in these kind of bonus rounds, sort of buys where maybe there's not a massive amount of Kevlar coming through for the mousesports side, looking to try and get up close and possible. First try pick actually comes out towards the B stairs. Instant trade for Nico T-side. Orping Dexter still gets away with a secondary one. Down to 2 points of health. Really well done from him to maintain the man advantage. But then Frozen falls towards the A side.
The 3-on-3 as a result. mousesports unable to maintain the man advantage. And with Dexter being on 2 points of health, you can easily see him falling. He's back at quad, the solo defender with the B side, but 1 check position from Hunter is all he needs. He's making absolutely no noise. Dexter has no info. Swing back, knife. Should be easy. He's going to wait for rotations instead. Dexter has no idea. And there it is. Easy. Sight under their control. I don't even know if BMAS and Akor go for this retake.
They probably don't. They've got no kit and not really a massive amount of utility between them. No one's on rotating positions either. They're both anchors out towards the A side, so it's probably just better off saving. And just that slight adjustment from Hunter, just slow the round down. Wait to see if there's maybe someone out towards construction who's being the second player out from mid. See if you can find a 2-for-1 and realizes, actually, no one's playing from there. I'll just go in for the knife. I'll get that extra little bit of money. And you've got to remember, for G2, that's a round where it was a bonus round. Like, they still had 2 Mac 10s out there. Nico was T-side AWPing. Dexter was able to get a 4-on-3 advantage out towards the B stairs, getting back on low HP, playing so passive out towards a quad position. And a really good read from Hunter to be able to read that Dexter's probably playing out to this position and playing so passive with him knowing how low he is.
That is that all-important 12th up for G2 here. mousesports gaining the pistol on the CT side, and that's been it so far in this half. Sitting close to the max loss bonus. They will have it for the next round. This round is going to be a little bit more awkward, but they can potentially go for a forced investment. It might be better to go half-seas around the 2 safe weapons. I think that's what Dex is calling. Deagle upgrades, Kevlar inbound. G2, you can imagine they'll be on 13 unless these Deagles dome some heads, but Jax with the Ferrari peak straight in on a core. The Orpa, one of the only crucial rifles they have here, it's gone down already.
Yeah, they're going to struggle to pick that back up, and Frozen just gets really hungry. Finds that first pick out from Rab. Nice pick comes through from Dexter to bring it back to a 3-on-3, and really for what is essentially just a half by a couple of saved-in weapons and an eco around it, things are looking very promising here for mousesports. The one problem they do have, though, Jay, no one playing on B. This is a complete stack towards the A side.
The 2 players slowly making their way up and out to the mid control, the AK and the MAC-10. Nexus Molotov also going to be in his hands. All 3 players will go ahead and join up. Start looking into the mid-presence. The Orpa of Dexter turning back into the A site at the worst moment now. Looks back in a scaff. First player up, seen, shot. Second player and third player being seen now. Then I have the information on all remaining individuals of the G2 side. Bomb plant can be secured. The retake should be on for mousesports.
There's a quick wraparound coming out from the B stairs, and timing's got to be everything here from Robs. He can't afford to get too aggressive. He's got to work in with his team. Man advantage coming through, and now it comes down to the 2 Balkans. Nexa and Hunter to see if they can hold off in the 2v3 post plant.
Nade on Dexter, 8 HP. Flashes continue to force them away. Mousesports getting slightly advantage of the AWP. Gets the frag in. Hunter with a secondary one as well. 3 kills to his name. I think Rob's fired a bullet at the Deagle. So now Batista knows exactly where he is. Needs to line up on Nexa. Indeed he does. But no kit needs to win the fight fast. And he doesn't do so at all. Hunter with a quadra in that round. And a 13th round to the board of G2. Mousesports need to adjust right now, else they'll be left out of it. M4s coming on the buyback, they can't afford the AWP, but when's the tactical coming in for these guys?
He's been playing so well. And there it is, Jay. Read it like a book. Tack coming out for mousesports, and this is the perfect opportunity for it to really come out. You've got to remember where they currently sit. They won pistol on the city side, lost the anti-eco, and this streak has got to be, what, 5 in a row now for G2? Mousesports have not been able to bounce back. And it just feels like they don't have that star player, that finesse factor that Hunter has currently on G2, the one that is really delivering in the post plants. I mean, the crosshair placement up towards the mid rotates in that 2v3, just trying to work with Nexa out from default. 24 kills and 12 deaths. And even for Acor, someone who, against K23 yesterday, was having a lights-out game. He was hitting everything with the AWP. He was so damn consistent. He's been a very, very quiet performer on Vertigo, both in the first and second half.
Need to get loud relatively soon, though. They're running out of opportunities to do so. Mousesports down by 5 rounds. Meanwhile, speaking of loudness, G2's Hunter is being very loud at the moment, 24 frags deep. And setting himself up with the Molotovs alongside Amanek here. Robs the M4 on side, swings back, sees 2, gets 1. Frag BMAX there with 2 trades, and the confidence has immediately returned to Mousesports now. Nico and Nexa. So they can get back into the B site. They're being suppressed by the CT players there. They could rotate back into A, but they're continuing to force forward and taking a ton of damage for it. Nexa on 5, dropping the bomb, and Nico alone in the back lines. Clutches have been remiss to mention on his part, but on just such low HP, you can imagine that it won't come his way, and indeed it won't. Kill for Frozen comes to a 9th to the board of Mousesports. And finally, they've got something back against G2, but the return rifles could easily put us back on track.
Well, what a hold to come out for the generators from Bemis. We see G2 just going in for the set piece towards that B side. Lots of smokes and flashes over the top, and for Bemis, he's just wasting time. He gets a couple of kills, allows the rotates to come in incredibly quickly. And for G2, that's probably the first time in the second half that we've really seen them struggle when it comes to one of these rounds. Mousesports being able to convert, get 9 up on the CT board. A little bit of aggression looking to come out from Frozen towards this round position. And Acor's not really getting too over-aggressive, but they are pushing towards the B stairs as well. That's Rops getting quite aggressive.
Rops forcing forward, getting the kill on Amanek. A good start for mousesports. Does he opt to stick around? No, he's going to smoke back and just fall away. Good call on my money. Waiting back here at the banger position, looking down upon the T side. So he's still pretty aggressive, but not nearly as aggressive as he got that first frag on. G2 might not be ready for the angle.
Yeah, they've got to be able to molly him out towards banger. At least try and force Rops into a bit of an exchange, get him swinging out wide and committing to the fight. Very, very silent for G2, and they're pretty much doing exactly what they did in the last round, regrouping up towards the B stairs and looking to go in for another Xe, but they've got to deal with Rops pretty much immediately.
Smoke's coming in. Molotov's at the ready. M4 of Rops, I think he just got seen. Spraying through from Banger. Swing back. The bomb on the back of Nexa is going to be first face. Jax finally gets the trade frag. And now it's on BMAS here, close to the site. Hearing tag. Dex on the other side. Back behind the platform. Gets his own kill in to support BMAS's defensive. And mousesports have looked alive here. 10 to the board. 3 AK saves. G2 now do not have enough for the full-blown buy.
They're starting to come alive, mousesports, for really what feels like the first time in this game. We've seen sort of moments of sharpness from them and moments of greatness, but this really could be the moment in which they can pull that into a bit of a streak. First tactical timeout coming through from G2. Now they'll realize what kind of situation they're in. Buy down to maybe the $2,000 marker. I know that maybe Nico and Amanek can buy down a bit, but again, they might want an AWP for one of those two players. Seems like Nico has been AWPing furthermore on the T side than Amanek has done. And for mousesports, it's all about delivery and consistency, getting rounds together, bringing that lead closer and closer down to minimal. 3 AKs being picked up from that last round on the City side too. That's really going to be able to upgrade the weaponry.
Means that the head Kevlar for Nico in this next round is going to be negated against all but one player. Of course, when the guns come out, true for G2, those rifles can keep the hurt going. What's the play here from G2? It seems to be fast out of the stairs. Yeah, Rob's going to hear these footsteps, put nades on, literally do some damage. Nico rounds the corner, gets taken out for it, flashes to support it. Robs lines up the quadra, and all pistols down and out. Amanek 1v5. Easy pickings, it seems like there for the mousesports side. Does get that one frag back in the AWP, however, shouldn't get saved by Dexter. Should lose one AK for it, unfortunately, but 11 to the board of mousesports. They'll still be happy with this. G2 back up for the buy.
Nice confident spray down coming through from Robs. Good spray control. And now starting to find some form between Beamus, Dexter, and Rops in terms of the kill counters. Try and get Frozen and A-Core up there a little bit further. But 2 rounds of difference now for mousesports. G2 buying back in. Alex smoke to come through from Jax, indicating that it will be a little bit of a take-up towards ramp in the early round. Nico being the lurkout from mid. Aggression being taken by Frozen, trying to spam through, but he doesn't know about Hunter, who's got so aggressive up towards the top position, but he's burning. He's taking so much damage, and Frozen reads the play.
And killing the start again for mousesports. Finding very good starts in these rounds against G2. Rops follows suit on Amanek as well. BMAS gets overwhelmed on the site, the B play. Jack's taking a lot of damage, allows Dexter an easy kill as he swings back from CT. Frozen has fallen in the interim, and they've got one CT player also so pushed up here at the stairs. I don't know if Nex is aware of this. I don't think Nico is either. He's creeping around with the suspicion that there might be something going on here. Nexa keeping his eyes forward. Rops making his way in con. He wraps upon Nico now. He's not going to get his opportunity. Nico's taken the long road, and Rops thinks it might be the A play. He's creeping up to look for information. Hasn't seen that last member. They know that there is some B presence. That Molotov will give up the ghost, I think, at this stage.
And that actually works out really nicely for Nico, because you don't really want to be taking a fight up towards the lurk player. Instead, he's been able to evade him entirely, but this should be some decent info now coming through from mousesports. They've been able to clear out the ramp position, try and get back in, and they don't need to take this chaotically. They've got kids, a little bit of util between them, and a 3 versus 2 advantage. It comes down to Nexa and Nico to hold.
Mid cleared out. They know that there's got to be on the site. Do they suspect there to be stairs presence? Flashes over, evaded by Nico, caught by Nexa for the moment. Phase before they can get the strike in. Flash turned away from the second player. And there's the kill for a core. Nico with his frag on 4 HP. Overwhelmed by Dexter with his shoulder picking out. Diffuse will get stuck, and it will be 12 for mousesports. G2, good place to get past the CT players in the mid control. And you would have thought that maybe with Nico wrapping in from that backstabbing player on the lower floor, that could have been enough for them to take the round, but not to be in this one. Bomb plant does bolster the economy line. Do they force the issue again?
They might want to. It depends on how desperate they are to really apply some pressure. They're going to take another tactical to think things over. I mean, most players around the 4K marker, so you're probably expecting a buy here. A max round loss bonus at 3,400. They could buy it out to 1,500 if they do want a half buy. The only problem is if they do go for a half buy is that you're offering up at least a tied up scoreline to mousesports. Do they want to risk it all on a bit of a shaky buy? I mean, they buy here, they'll be able to get AKs up for everybody, but it will be a lack of utility. So if they want to get more, there might be 1 or 2 players on Galil's. And I guess that's what this tactical is about, just to be able to discuss, is the risk worth the reward?
Mac 10s in on 2 players, the Eagles, the Tech 9. Of course, standard rifles for mousesports. Can they equalize? Well, they're on the right foot for the start. Nades on Nico and Hunter, tagged heavy, AK, excuse me, the Dexter swings back and gets the kill on Jax. And now Nexa moves up again to lead the fast charge into the B side. They tried the fast plays once. Rob's going to get caught off and the information given away this time. M4 spray of the other side of the site actually comes through to 2 picks for the G2 side. 3 on 3, making it 2. Okay, this could still be on here for the teasers. The nade doesn't deny the bomb plant.
How has that happened? Amanek just running wild out towards a B site with the Mac 10, swaps over to the M4 and finds his 3rd kill of the round. Acor has just got to try and save onto his weapon. Oh my goodness, what a round. And even the T side are going hunting. They realize the importance of trying to take this AWP out of the hands. Good shot up for Acor, just trying to make sure that he doesn't get punished.
Make sure he stays alive at this stage. Shouldn't be able to get away with that. To think that if one nade had landed closer, then there's a good chance that round would have still been gained by the mousesports camp. Hunter will lose his life in the end. Far too late, far later than he really should have done. Amanek with 3 massive kills, ultimately winning that round for G2. The money's still there for mousesports. They can buy it back, get back into control, but they'll need to do it now or never.
And to think that was the round that gets 13-13. And now they lose a half buy for mousesports. It hurts. It's really frustrating to know that you lost a round to some upgraded pistols and some Mac 10s, not even a full buy. And that could be the way in here for G2 if they can follow up. Nades coming through towards a mid position again, doing a lot of heavy damage to start off. Aggression coming through from Rosen down towards the bottom of ramp, and Dexter finding the mid lurk to start off.
Rosen also pushing here in the midst of the smoke, putting another one down. Hunter seen at the edge, he still finds the frag. Tags on him and Nico might aid in the defensive, but a core with the orb. Have eyes set on the right place at the right time. Dexter trying to find his way out, Molotov him into the back corner. Tag to 52, Amanek trying to catch somebody at the top end of the smoke and get this bomb to the site. Indeed, he'll go for that plant. No nades on his position. It's all sorts of bullets flying here from the M4s. The sprays on from mousesports, not getting kills. Finally, BMAS catches one through the smoke.
The spam eventually finds a connection, and now it gets them a man advantage. They've got a smoke to get down onto that bomb or out towards a ramp position. Kids in play too, and for G2, they need to find an advantage. They've got to slow this down. Tabs coming through for Nico out towards the sandbags. Nexus starts getting involved. Not quite hitting the shots. Finally, they do, but someone's going to have to get on this bomb for mousesports. It's been ticked for so long. One player left now for Robs in the 1v1. Surely there's not enough time. He's got to try and stick the bomb, and it's not going to happen. Pick up the AWP and just try and save. A huge post-blood coming through from G2. And for mousesports, they just can't get it together, and the money is wrecked for them going into round 28.
Desperate to force forward 2 players on single digits of HP. The side alley man, the offside anchor player, getting map point for G2 on his lonesome, and mousesports couldn't get that bomb defuse into the defuse kit player. They really did, you're right. Costing them everything here. 3 rounds to overtime. The money is wrecked, and so is a core. Again, Jax with that same peek in from mid-control finds the opener of this round.
Oh, Jax has turned it into 2. Not only has he dealt with the AWPer before from A-Core, but he's even followed up onto his teammate at Beamermas. 5 on 3, and now they can just wait for the mistakes. They can wait for the over-rotation, wait for the aggression to come out for the CTs, desperate of trying to find an advantage somewhere.
Have gone quiet on the G2 side, though. Playing passive because they know that they can, because they realize that mousesports, they're not the ones that are in control. Rops recognizing that more than anyone else. Frozen with a risky play. He's got to take these risks though and loses his fight against Nico. Next release falls. Amanek falls in turn. Back on the B side. Rops with a secondary swing. Hunter's turned away from it, expecting flashbangs. And a 2-on-2. Bomb's got to get picked up, committed to a site. Smokes are going down to indicate that it is A. Dexter goes past Nico. He's hearing those footsteps. He knows that the second man is coming in to get the bomb plant here. So the FAMAS also gets up to position. When do they swing? Do they check Ali? They don't. Jax loses the bomb control, or Nico to clutch it. Had many opportunities, been unsuccessful so far, but that's the first kill in of this one. To his name, looking for the 3K as well. 20 seconds, that bomb in the open. Dexter knows he does not have to aggress. He is going to try and do so anyway, though. Nico caught looking the wrong way and still gets the pick in at the right moment to secure the map. Map 1, mousesports' pick goes the way of G2.
Impressive. Very, very impressive. It looked like for a moment there for mousesports, they were really starting to claw back at the end of that half. But for G2, they just played incredibly well. I thought that Hunter had a great game. Jax's entries were just vital. And in terms of the AWPing, we saw Amanet picking it up. We saw Nico picking it up. Both players finding impact. And just some of the plays coming into the late round. Their post plants, they were winning disadvantages. There were so many situations for mousesports in that CT half where they had like 4-on-3, 3-on-2 retakes where they had the man advantage, but they still weren't able to get the retakes together.
And I have to say, I'm very disappointed to see that mousesports as early in mid-game is what ultimately hindered them there, because they got it together towards the end, but in that first half, in the mid portion, in the mid portion, the end of the first and beginning of second halves, mousesports looked so shaky for that entire course of that period of time. When they got it together on CT side, you thought, right, this team's now going to come back into it. But once they found a couple of ways to outplay them, G2 already have enough momentum and breathing room. They had enough ground made up against that mousesports side where they could just tip past the finish line. And it's down to that early start. I think that if that had gone a bit different, G2 would have been in a very different position here.
You look at how the halves went. mousesports were down 7-8 at the turn. They won pistol, and then they lost the anti-eco. And then, like, G2 won 5 or 6 rounds in a row and just kept wrecking the economy round by round by round. They got the momentum going, and it just felt like there were some players going really quiet there from mousesports. We saw A-Core really not finding a lot of success with the AWP. I mean, you just take a look at those jewels from Jax just swinging out wide from mid. How many times he was able to catch that AWPer off, and it's got to be frustrating for mousesports knowing that the AWP just wasn't really able to find impact in the first or second half.
Yeah, not a lot of impact in general, and for mousesports, that's concerning going into the second map. Again, Vertigo was their pick, and Dust 2, it might have been hit and miss for G2 in the past, but right now it looks like they're on the hit in this series as we look towards that break and come back with our second of the series. Will mousesports get into the lower bracket at last? We'll find out after this.
doing not bad, didn't care about you. I was high as fuck, wasn't looking for love or anything new. It ain't funny, little devil in disguise, think you got me, yeah. You're so naughty, I feel something happening to my body. Cause you shot me in the heart, can't get over it, over it. In the other part, I recover it. And I look what you done, you made me fall too fast. Wait. Look what you done, I'm going mad. You shot my heart, the only is dead. I need your love so bad. Now I'm lying in bed, stupid thoughts in my head, got me thinking of you. If you let me know lies, slowly losing my mind. Are you feeling this too? Don't be sorry, you're my angel in disguise. Yeah, you got me, yeah. Let's be naughty, wanna put my body next to your body. Cause you shot me in the heart, I can't get over it, over it. In the other part, I recover it, recover it. Look what you done, you made me fall too fast. Wait. Look what you done, I'm going mad. You shot my heart, the only is dead. I need your love so bad.
Always in tandem. Though you're handling bars, it's all I imagine. And falling from you is just magic. Is it too much to ask to make us authentic? Before you go, you have to know that we were only after all. So you could tell your friends when you see them at the weekend. I can pretend we wouldn't speak then. It's morning over me. A good evening for you, cause I'm heaving for you. It's morning over me. A good evening, cause I'm heaving. It's morning over me. A good evening for you, cause I'm heaving for you. It's morning over me. A good evening, cause I'm heaving. Opening scars to know that we have them. Well, how many times I told you I have them. Still falling from you was just magic. I loved it, yeah. And a phone call from you would be goddamn fantastic. Before you go, you have to know that we were only after all. So you could tell your friends when you see them at the weekend. I can pretend that we wouldn't speak then. It's morning over me. A good evening for you, cause I'm heaving for you. It's morning over me. A good evening, cause I'm heaving. It's morning over me. A good evening for you, cause I'm heaving for you. It's morning over me. A good evening, cause I'm heaving. I can pretend we wouldn't speak then.
Leave it all in the past, 'cause the war isn't over yet. You lost one fight, but it's not the end. So get back up and fight again. Take one step, take another. Find the strength for your brothers. Erase the doubt with your battle cry. You feel the earth.
Well, despite the resurgence from mousesports at the end of their map pick, it is G2 the ones that come out on top, and looking into their map pick, it does two things. Don't look initially good for the mousesports side, but if there is one silver lining to this, it's that G2's own Dust2 has been a little bit hit and miss over the course of history. Dweg, care to elaborate? You brought that point up during the pregame, and now we're looking down the barrel of Dust2. What silver linings, what things can mousesports do to try and have a decent map here in our second?
For mousesports, I think they've got to really play their own game. We saw how disciplined they were against K23 on that CT side. They weren't really allowing a lot of map control to be taken from them. They weren't really giving up aggressive short plays. They weren't taking longhouse control a massive amount of time. Didn't even have walk setups coming in towards the upper tunnels. So I think for mousesports, play very defensive, play very passive is probably their avenue to a lot of success. For G2, though, yeah, maybe their Dust2 hasn't always been massively successful. You look back at the showdown at Blast, they played it 3 times. They're in all 3 best of 3s they played, and a couple of times it looked really good against both Spirit and Endpoint. They had some decent results, but then they only got 3 rounds against OG. Whether that was just a bit of a hiccup and a bit of an off map, it's sort of yet to be seen going into this mousesports game. But for overall, for G2, they've got the opposition or the opportunity of 2-0ing right now.
Yeah, you mentioned that Spirit result, and you think, damn, taking Dust2 over Spirit, that's actually a pretty decent matchup to win, considering where they're at right now in Counter-Strike. And, you know, the losses to Gambit could be understandable, but then you see them win against Evil Geniuses, and then they lose to Complexity. So it's very, very weird where the situation is right now with this Dust2 pick. I think that on paper, it's a map that leans itself to G2's favor, especially in the context of this just isolated best of 3. But mousesports, again, I'm hoping that maybe they've gotten themselves a bit bucked up by comparison to that previous map, because as I mentioned before in the post game, it was the early and mid games that really struggled for mousesports. I think if they want to have success, they got to get right out of the gate, instant start. They need to get themselves a pistol, rifles, get themselves a decent lead built up before they let G2 get anything done, because I think that's part of the reason why G2 were able to make success happen in the end.
And it's going to come down to Dexter's in-game leading of how do you get A-Core operated? Because we certainly saw that on Vertigo, he wasn't really finding a lot of impact. So do we want to put him in a different position? Do we want to make sure that we're playing dual setups with him and having a bait and switch? Whatever it may be, whenever you've got a player underperforming, you don't just point the finger and be like, mate, step up. Like, it's not as easy as that. You've got to be able to find a way as an in-game leader, as a caller, to be able to find, okay, what way can I allow A-Core to really be able to shine? Because he's a phenomenal AWPer who's found a lot of success recently, but just went really quiet this series, and they can't allow that same element to repeat going into map 2. It just can't happen.
Well, speaking of Dexter's in-game leaning calling, you mentioned him obviously as being a really good player for mousesports in yesterday's K23 series. Now, you can partially put that down to K23 being a weakened side by comparison to who mousesports are. In this matchup, you can't make the same comparison, but still Dexter was having a really good game. So what's going on there? You'd mentioned obviously you need to get a core geared up, being with the AWP and how impactful and how important the AWP needs to be, but Dexter having an absolutely lights out game. Like, is there something in the tactical style that's setting him up, or is it just a case that right now he's the guy that's being the main performer?
I think that that's just his way of calling. Like, he was like that in previous teams. That he's always been a big fragger as an in-game leader. So knowing that he's putting up numbers, it's a very good sign that he's able to sort of compete with the top. Because I think that was a big concern for Dexter moving over towards the European Counter-Strike and playing for a team like mousesports. Is he able to deliver against the very top? And at least it proved on Vertigo that it is. But even though he's performing very well individually, so could be said from Robs. They've got to get more players on this team more involved if they want a chance of bouncing back in this series, because for G2, they've already done the first map. They've taken their map pick of mousesports. Now they're going to Dust 2. That's their chance.
And this could be a really good game for them, especially if they get to the hits. We mentioned that this map can be hit and miss, so let's see whether they can hit it here on our second and take a simple 2-0 to move up in the upper bracket. Again, to remind you all of the situation that we're at here, this team, these teams are not in an elimination series just yet. We'll get there with the loser coming into the lower bracket after this fact, but G2 themselves up to the pistol round here on the T-side start, and that is a hell of a start for Jackson Nico. Straight swings, straight kills, straight shots to the 5 versus 3. Dexter back over the ramp control, seeing 3 more T-side individuals, desperate to tap their heads and get those headshots in. Flick back to the third as well. Frozen comes in as support, and Zamanek tries to set the backstab, but mousesports have cleaned it up. Dexter once again continuing his fragging prowess as he gets the pistol for mousesports.
Oh, what a sequence. Out towards that ramp position. G2 go fast in for the short commitment. They get a 5-on-3. We see Jackson Nico getting some phenomenal entries. They continue the play up towards the side, and they run into the death trap. Straight into the hands of Dexter. 3 for fantastic kills for him. And for G2, they were looking like they were going to convert the round off of those 2 opening picks, but not to be.
Deagles into the G2 side, no bomb plant, so there'll be no major buy, no Kevlar and utility to support their weapon status, and at least mousesports have got the similar sort of start. By comparison to that first map, we saw them take the pistol, saw them take the conversions, but it was when the rifles came in for G2 that things started, issues started cropping up for mousesports, so at least they've got that early momentum swing. But again, they need that early start, and then they need to maintain it here, so G2 again on the short push. Akor's got a scout alongside Rops' other scout over on the B side. Dexter's ready with the M4 as well to continue adding to his frag counts here.
They just try and see if they can dive out towards the A side. If they can get a bomb plant towards that short position, that could be great. Akor being goosed down, but not really a lot of damage being taken. And for Nico, they'll be very happy with that. Great shot on towards the side, meaning that Nico with the Deagle was the last one left. 1 versus 4, trying to see if he can do some further up damage, but it doesn't happen. 1 kill and a bomb plant for an upgrade of what? 2 Deagles in total for G2. They'll be very happy with the investment and what they get out of it.
Bomb plant at least secures a little bit extra cash, so there is something to work with. 2-0. G2 should be able to get the early rifles back into this one. AK set with the standard sets of utility. Scout still maintained here by Robson, of course, you can imagine. There's been a bit more bonus round here for the CT side, so Smokes back, 2 players crossing towards the mid doors. No one's really bearing down upon them. There's no WP for G2 to get these frags.
Funny enough, out of the 4 wins that we've seen from mousesports on Dust 2, only 1 of 4 have been up against non-CIS teams. So maybe take that as a bit of an interesting factor facing off against a team like G2. Molly out towards the blue bin position is going to force BMAS away, take him a little bit of damage. No peek goes with it, though, for the T side, so they can't really punish that CT getting into a rotating position. Setting themselves up towards the upper tunnels. Could be a B split on the cards here for G2, but still a lot more time for them to continue running out their default.
And that default will start to stack its way into the upper tunnels. You've got Robson Frozen on the defensive line for this site. Scout will take first contact. Frozen's going to watch mid to B, but surely should be rotating inbound to support on the defensive line. Flash is coming over, utility sent over, damage being done at least to Amanek's second phase. Will actually end up with the kill, not the secondary tag up on the player behind him. He's seen a large T-side presence though, and Nexa spotted out towards mid. Dexter can swing, can deny his position. The scout still tapping and doing damage, and finally getting overwhelmed by Nico's Molotov. Jack's expecting Dexter to come forward, and indeed, he isolates into a 3 versus 3. They're gonna go for a last second rotation here. They've still got Frozen on the A bomb site. And now a core is going to join in for backup, but it's a scout and an M4. So the M4 has got to do most of the heavy lifting here. Corby watching, first shot not connecting, forced out position. B-Mass ready for them to round the corner at elbow. 2 frags to his name. Actually, 1 stolen away by a core, but that's fine. It's a 1-on-2 for Nico here. Bomb plant can be secured, 7 seconds to the clock, and the M4 presses forward. Can you get the pick? No, Nico gets it to a 1v1 now.
10 HP up towards Frozen, and he knows he's the B anchor. He's got a lot of time to work with, and Frozen, does he see him relocating back out towards his top position? Nico with the tap up to win the clutch for G2. Oh my goodness, he sticks the bomb plan in, knowing that the time's left on the clock. Bemis offers up that individual duel, and Nico wins the 1v2.
And there it is. Big stuff from the big fragger, the big gun of G2 Esports. They force back from mousesports, unfortunately, despite it being a bonus round right there. They haven't got a lot of cash saved in from the previous. For Marcy's scouts, AUGs, and Deagle in for the likes of B-Mass. Spray still on Dexter finds that first frag. Jack's there with a quick response to a 4 versus 4. For Mars Spray for Frozen, looks for that second player as well. The fast plays in from G2 are being shut down regardless by these rifles. 3 in for Dexter, another triple kill round for him. And Nico caught off a suicide, now known. All 4 of his teammates fell outside of the longhouse as mousesports locked down that position of the map.
Nico's got a clutch again, but this time it's so much more difficult. He doesn't have the bomb in his control. He's already been tagged up to 32 points health. Looking to try and take the duel pretty much straight away onto Rops. At least try and isolate that 1v1. And time is on his side, but how does he even try and pick up this bomb? There's 2 defenders around it.
Nico, once again in the clutch scenario, and this time Rops won't let him go that much further. Frag found easy on the scout, 3-1. Mousesports back in control despite the early losses to the rifle rounds, and that's, again, much better by comparison to what we saw over on Vertigo. I want to see them maintaining this control, maintaining this lead. Tech-9's in with the upgrade pistols. Follow-up from G2 is going to be an eco round.
Not a lot of investment at all coming through from G2, but remember back to Vertigo and how much damage they were able to do with these kind of rounds. And 2 players out towards a long position, flash over the top, AUG just trying to spam through. There is a bit of a trade back that comes out from Jackson. They know that Bemis is playing out towards a pit position, but shouldn't be too much more than just this one opening pick. Bemis going to be able to line up the second, and bomb control in favor of the CTs. Hunter's already given away his position out from CT. Has been able to deal with 1 player of Rops, trying to see if he can tap away for a little bit more and recover the... at least a little bit more weaponry. So for a round like that where there isn't too much involved, getting a couple of kills, they'll be happy with that for the G2 side.
The Glock round can lead to a rifle, which is going to be their main concern here. Tactical pause called in early, very early for G2, something we hadn't seen mousesports take until the very, very end of the game. And figure out where they're going to go from this, especially with players not 100% in the server right now. Nexa hasn't got a frag just yet, and Nexa only got 1 frag. Hunter only have 2, and Hunter himself obviously being the top guy for G2 in that last map, so... For him to fall behind like this, it's going to be a slight hindrance. I mean, still got Jackson Nico kicking and screaming, but... Much like how we talked about mousesports having a couple of players that were going off in that last map, it's a similar situation for G2, and they're on the back foot as a result of it. Plenty of time to change their fortunes, though. Only round 6. Rifles are inbound for both sides, and the guns could lead to resets here for the CT side.
Oh, Nico. Oh, actually does hit that shot onto Robs. It looked to be a relatively easy kill from the City side, considering how much damage had been done up to Nico's position, but able to repeat back into the angle with that scout. And for G2, now they can just work with the numbers game, and short is completely open.
We've only got a call with that M4. Molotov's inbound for his part. Nade should land pretty close to the center of mass. Only doing little damage to Jackson Amanek, actually, so they get past it, and they get the frag on him as a result. Bomb plant on short, 5 versus 3. This might already be a safe call for the CT side. It's only Dexter that's close in the bomb site itself at CT spawn. Trying to get out of dodge here, knowing that this T-side presence in mid going to be wary of the likes of Hunter. He'll sneak past it, though. They'll go hunting against the mousesports camp, but the CTs realize they have to keep their weapons in play.
Instant save call coming through from mousesports when they lose 2 players like that. What a start from G2 going into the rifle round. We see that first pick coming through from Suicide, and then they just continue the approach up towards the A site. Lots of utility starting to rain in from the Ts. Even that little bit of a lurk trying to come through from the upper tunnels at one point from Hunter to see if they can cut off any more deaths from the CTs. Doesn't seem like it's going to happen, though. A second on the board for G2, and we did kind of mention it a little bit in the pre-game, how necessary it was for mousesports to get off to a good start, because they did win pistol, got off to 3-0 in the first half, but it was the second half of Vertigo where they really just weren't able to get the ball rolling. So to see them up 4-2, it is a positive notion, but there is a chance that they can be completely reset here, Jay. Buy back into round 7 for the CTs with 1,900 loss bonus. They're going to have no money in the reserve.
Nothing at all. The only reason this buy is even in effect is because they had those weapons saved. mousesports would have had an awkward force back in this round regardless. Lacky utility on a couple of players. AUG ready for Dexter. Does find Hunter at least. That's a good start. And they go back out towards the longhouse where BMAS is ready to take that first frag. Can't get the follow-up on the second. Just damage done to Nexa in the 2-for-1 trade.
Acor just holding the sightline, needs to be either just flashed off angle or just shoulder baited, be able to try and bait out that orb. Can't let him stay on the angle. More flashes coming in over the top for G2 to try and get in towards that pit position. Acor wouldn't have seen Nico getting down. And from here for mousesports, they've got to play this cautiously. They can't afford to repeat the angle. Might be able to make a little bit of a move to get aggressive towards top mid to have a bit of a backstab play in, and Acor's looking to re-peak.
Works through position, goes for the shot to give away his angle. 4 CTs coming in to respond. They realize that G2 are here en masse. Is Akor going to dry face this? He looks to try and do so. Damage being done to Nexa. Incendiary's close. There's flashbang trying to suppress. To get this bomb to the site, finally drops to the hands of Frozen. Jack's there with a response frag, but AUG of Dexter swings back again off. And Nico in a 1 versus 3 again for the clutch. Many clutch situations for him in this series. Only found a couple of them so far, and this will not be another one added to the tally. A 5th to the board of mousesports as they have maintained themselves here on CT side. It does too. Things look all right for this squad.
Yeah, things are looking much better than they were on Vertigo for mousesports, at least when it comes to opening advantages. We're seeing Dexter playing with some really good form right now, 11 kills and 2 deaths. Always seems like those real vital rounds. He's getting some good and important multi-frags. A G2, though, might be a little bit of a moment to take a secondary tactical pause if it continues like this. A bit of a long spot to come through from the T side. Hunter looking to try an entry out, and for the CTs, they're just giving it up, not looking to fight long at all.
He's watching the long entrance, expecting there to be some sort of CT presence. They've had a lot of CT players up here in this position many times over the course of this map up, but bit of a surprise that Hunter's completely unresisted here. They're all back on shore. Watching mid from passive on the B site. Only 2 players on that side of things. G2 have gone towards A more times than not. So they'll be ready for them to go for another split play or another short play.
The NWP from Acor is still pretty aggressive, not really playing on the quarter position. Flashes coming in. That's going to be some footsteps being heard by the G2 side, and Acor is still holding his ground. He does not want to fall back at all.
That nade lands lovely onto Jackson Amanek. Now they swing for the easy frags. They only get away with 1 pick. AWP closely in the gun barrel. Still fingers on the first player that swings out first. Second also found by Akor. 6 frags deep so far in this map. Nico holds the angle, but Rops takes that chance to swing on the backstab, and it's all left to Hunter from the long control. Bomb dropped on shore, tapping at 1 player back at CT, but now left with nothing left in this round. He's got to fall back and save the weapon. And you mentioned a call, you mentioned what they're going to do to get him back in the service so we can have some impact. That was one of his most impactful rounds so far today.
That was great from him. Rob's even waiting for the long lurk, and another round being just annihilated for mousesports. And the way that they played it, HE comes through, flash over the top, they swing with it with the M4 first, and 1-for-1 trade starts coming out from Dexter, and then that's when the AWP is able to strike a great double. And just look at the patient play to come through as well, out from Acor. Like, he doesn't swing for the third. Nico is waiting for that re-peak. It doesn't quite happen. And now for mousesports, they've got the opportunity of going double orbs now being recovered from Nico. 6-2 up, and knowing what Robs can do as a B anchor with the AWP as well, this could start getting very frightening very quickly.
And Pistols trying to face out here in the mid control, jump facing on the short position. I'm going to bait in the CT aggressors, but mousesports aren't going to go that aggressive. I mean, they haven't really had any need to. At least not in the early rounds, maybe in the later parts when they know where G2 are playing from, when they know their rough positioning on the defaults. For now, it's just letting them gain that mid presence and then letting them give up information. And of course, even at passive angles, they can fight against these eco pistols.
Just shoulder baiting Acor, see if they can maybe overwhelm the AWPer. Even in a round like this where they've got no utility up on the eco, it's going to be difficult to keep forcing him further and further back. I wonder how much HE damage is going to be coming through from mousesports. Oh, quite a lot.
A good time to ask that question, because the follow-up made as well was also there. The M4 spray will also do similar damage. HE from Frozen to finish the job. Amanek's going to escape, and that's the right call at the right moment. And setting up towards the short control to try and overwhelm a core with the numbers. He's seen so many heads, takes 2 dinks back by these pistols. Flash is going over, tries to press Dexter, swings out, a Goose gets 1 frag, and the Bird doesn't line up anymore. Hunter actually gets Indigan in to find that frag. Nico also frags. Nexa doing damage, but Frozen holds himself together, gets the round under their control. Double ops can get saved by mousesports, 7-2 up to the board. Looking to take the half very early in the half.
Looking like they are really hungry to take this to map 3. It's probably pretty early to call that it is going that way, but just when you look at how these rounds are being played out, how dominant it's been from mousesports, how both rounds on T-side have been individual basis, they haven't been streaked together. The G2 have always been in a position where it's like, buy eco, buy eco. They haven't had a lot of bomb plants in the rounds that they've been losing. A fast play down from mid, a little bit more tempo in terms of aggression from G2.
Being suppressed from this short control by the Molotovs. The tempo forced to go lower here. Core lands the shot on the first man as well. Jax, frag found easier. Core dives out, barely escapes. 2 points of HP for him. That could have been suicidal. He will go falling in the end. Hunter also isolating Dexter, being completely flash blinded by Nico. BMAS swings back, does see one more, but Amanek also being blind. His flash clears quicker, and he gets the shot in very efficiently. Frozen and Rops, 2v4. This has got to be a safe call from these guys.
Great shot up from Robs, but it's still not enough to go in for that retake. It's not worth it. Hold on to weapons and bring it into the next round. And G2 have probably found a way to deal with Acor, and rather than slow peek and kind of flash around and play quite a passive style towards that short position, just bomb rush it, just run it right up, and that's exactly what they do. Acor gets aggressive, flashes his way through, finds an opening pick, and they just storm up towards a short position. Very even lucky for him to drop down towards CT and not fall to his death. But then from there, that's when the T start round in the corner. Hunter gets a couple of kills. Amanek catches the player off from CT. Third round up for G2, but they've got to follow up. They can't afford to continue winning individual rounds on the T side and allowing mousesports to bounce back.
The CT half has gone swimmingly so far. mousesports could be very happy with what they've gained so far in this half. On the right track to take another Dust 2 away from G2 at the moment. The rifle's back in. They've still got time to change this. It's still not off the table for the map win for these guys, so... Can the M4's be massive with the M4 rounds the corner, sees so much spray. Transfer to 2 is working well, but Jax trades it back all the same. 2 for 1s to respond. Frozen gets Hunter as well in the upper tunnels, where it's all left for these last 2 individuals just rushing out, knowing that they've got to go reckless, they've got to go fast. SMG is close. A core in the backlines gets found by the Orb. And now Dexter finds Jax, leaves it all on Nico. 1v3, switching out to the AK spray bag. Does catch that one frag, but needs to get 2 more good shots.
Not even going to happen. Rob's finding the angle, and another great round out for mousesports. Things looked promising there for a little while for G2 when Nico started getting involved, but so much chaos out towards that long position. You could see how jittery BMAS was, but still was able to connect onto a couple of those kills with the spray transfer. mousesports being able to disallow any kind of streak in this first half. And you've got to wonder for G2, how do they bounce back from this? They get a half bye going into round 12, but for mousesports, they could be on for 10 plus rounds in this first half.
Entirely possible. Their last CT half was a 10-5 against G2 as well, so that would be repeating history. Frag found early for Rops in this half bye status. G2 losing Nico at the start of the round. Scout of Hunter looking down at that long control, hoping that there's even more of the CT side. Get one isolated pick back. A core with his AWP, however, is ready for the entire force to face him. He gets that one frag. BMAS falls in turn. Scout shots evaded by Dexter. The nade's close towards him. Next on 6 points of health. A core looking to put that nade back. That should be able to finish the job onto him. He actually doesn't land it, but Jax is low, allowing Dexter the SMG frags instead. Money gains. Nade lands. Eventually, the kills come through. mousesports maintain 4 players.
I have a really funny feeling that the HE that Dexter threw actually blocked the scout shot that came through from Hunter playing out towards the long corner. I'd have to go back and have a look at that, maybe try and slow the clip down. But I'm pretty sure I saw the shot bounce off the HE that Dexter threw.
Now that would be some luck.
Don't say that every day, if it did happen.
Look, if it does happen, I want to see that on Twitter. I want to see you post that on Twitter, like, you got to make that thing public, because if that did happen, that is like a 1 in a million. So unlikely, so subtle, I didn't even notice it. G2 taking a tactical pause because they're noticing some problems. Only 3 rounds deep. mousesports have found a number of rounds in a row as well. I believe this is number... What, 3 in a row, if memory serves me correctly?
This has got to be, well, they were what, 4-2 up, and then
there
was a bounce back.
Yeah, they had that one round that make it 3. So yeah, that's my bad. Okay, never mind. Well, not nearly as massive momentum for mousesports, but still a 6-round deficit for these guys, currently in the lead. G2 to find a response soon, because they could be on to lose an even worse CT half to these guys.
Yeah, Rop's just waiting for a bit of a play out towards the Xbox position. That smoke coming down up towards the doors will allow Hunter to cross out successfully. I haven't really seen a lot of like lurks up towards the B site either from G2 in terms of like a lurk smoke and trying to see if he can get out and deal with the anchor. We know that for Robs, he's typically been playing out towards back plat or in anchor at the B side, but he's kind of traded places with Frozen a little bit now that he's double AWPing, and he's been playing a little bit more of a mid defense. Even picks into Nico. Great timing and great angle.
That mid defense has been so great for him. Like that, he's found that pick consistently. It's not just this one round where he's got it. He's got it time and time again. Of course, ready on the short presence, but Jax again with his good peeks in. He's found that quick whip round very often. Now the AWP can get picked up by Hunter instead. Rops has seen the one player across the back of Amanek, will continue facing. However, there's utility in the hands of the player up at top mid. He won't get his chance to strike on that player. The bomb is on his back, so Nexa's got to make his way safely to the site.
So many footsteps though, and even for Dexter, he's holding a very cheeky angle out towards the elevator position. Bomb still yet to get planted here for the T side, still getting up towards the site. Amanek and Hunter now finding pieces together, and Dexter's got to be able to strike out from the ramp position. Catches off the first player, needs to follow up though because his teammate is still coming in from CT. Looking to find the second, but it doesn't quite happen. Down to 10 points of health for Jax, means that Frozen's now in the 1 versus 3, and this is a very difficult position to be in. He's got to isolate all of these picks and try and get back onto the bomb and get it defused. Tap comes through, but Jax has found the angle. A great round from him, 11 kills up, and a 4th up for G2. They're coming far and beyond, though, these T-side rounds.
And bring it back to a 5-round deficit. At least they're getting bits and pieces, and if they can mount up a 5th, then I could see them still being able to win the CT half, but getting away with a couple of good frags and the long control is really what won them in that last one. mousesports. Their own economy state has actually been broken thanks to that round there. G2 have kept the heart up throughout this entire game, and you can see what that's done here. No warp for Frozen, just a scout. No M4 for BMAS, just a FAMAS. And a passive default for G2, hoping that mousesports try and force forward, try and make a mistake to aggress, and give up the round in the opening kill.
Yeah, it's definitely not the best of buys in the world for mousesports, so we'll have to wait and see what they can be able to achieve with it. And Dexter getting somewhat aggressive towards this short position. They found a lot of success in this portion of the map. Bemis being able to push up quite aggro as well towards a longhouse position. And Dexter might just get flashed in.
Sees the swing, sees the spray, gets damage to Jax, but no more than 21 points of health. He's tagged, but he's alive. Lost one of the crucial weapons as well. mousesports running out of firepower. And look into the B commitment with Frozen. Less than 30 HP on his scout. The bomb of Nexa move in to try and support the B play. He's there on plat, expecting there to be some sort of contact, expecting there to be some sort of T-side presence, but he's going to be the lone defender here, all the way back at the window position. They're actually going to stack into the mid control at the worst moment. He sees what's coming and realizes that they might even get locked out of this. Do mousesports even go for the retake in this context?
Yeah, it's a tough call. I think they might be better off saving if they can't get a kill within the next 5 or 10 seconds. They really need something to happen, but for G2, there's no real reason for them to overextend. They've got the bomb site completely, and mousesports are already backing off now.
Yeah, no mistakes given up by that T-side. If they had overextended, then maybe there was an opportunity opening up for Mouse, but with the money line being where it is, no real loss bonus, no real buy for the next round. An M4 that you can also recover makes a lot of sense that they would just concede this one back to G2 and focus on getting their double digits at the turn of the half. For G2, it's a really well-played default, really well-played execution as well, well-timed against mousesports because they left that B site just as they were going into it. It was free real estate. 5th on that board. Again, G2 maintaining themselves pretty nicely, even though mousesports did have the very early start here on CT. Probably a drop weapon for Dexter to get himself back into the round.
Oh, that's the first time this entire half the G2 have actually strung rounds together. That's 2 in a row from them. And you even get the feeling that if they can bring it up to 6 at the turn of the half, then they can maybe carry that momentum going forward. And mousesports, again, sort of struggling with the buy. Even though it was a save call, you've still got an MP9 out for Dexter. A couple of kits in play, no AWP for either Rops or Acor. A relatively fast play from Hunter getting down towards the mid doors. This time around, not really any mid defense coming through from Rops.
Hasn't got that AWP, so it's not going to be nearly as easy for him. He's actually much more passive on the scaffolding area at the B window. BMAS holds the long control, meanwhile, gets that first frag in, looks to swing up for the AK, and he does get it. It's to fall back to passive positions, and so are the T-side going to get out of there. Damage being done to the T-side line. Hunter mollied out, has to use that smoke to save his life. It's a man advantage. We've tagged him for mousesports. A really good start in this round.
That's what they need. Get an opening man advantage and fall back and just hold on to the numbers game. And for G2, they've still got a fair bit of time and utility to work with. All players being stacked up from this mid position. Flash over the top, that's going to allow them to get control out towards mid and commit towards a mid to B.
5-on-4, Rops waiting. M4 Frozen actually takes the face in, draws their attention away from the window position. Rops going to be unchecked as the bomb gets dropped. Nico faces, doesn't get his kill, gets tagged instead. Hunter will fall quickly after the fact, and Nico in a 1 versus 5. Not going to happen for him. 10 to the board, and mousesports repeating their CT basis against the G2 camp. And now they look towards their T-side half to steal Dust 2 and maintain their lives in this series. We go to a break, and afterwards, it's our second half.
Rising out the ashes, coming from the ether. All I hear is static. Breathe a little deeper. Fallen, broken, a million light years away from home. My eyes opened, to claim life. Oh, never let it go. These wings carry me. Live this fantasy. Running through the fire, fire. Gonna let it burn. I am the Messiah. Gonna let it burn. Running through the fire, fire. Gonna let it burn. I am the Messiah. Gonna let it burn. 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 Found me in the darkness. Now they see me shining. Calling me a goddess. Thunder and the lightning. I'm falling, I'm faster. Making my way back, I'm close to home. I'm fighting harder. Because I've come to claim my throne. Never letting go. These wings carry me. Live this fantasy. Running through the fire, fire. Gonna let it burn. I am the Messiah. Gonna let it burn. I'm running through the fire. Gonna let it.
mousesports looking for their survival map in 10-5 up indicates they might be staying alive for a little bit long, but they have to maintain their form going into their T side. The pistol gets off on the right foot very early on for this team. The utility in for Ropson Akora as they get straight into tunnels. Nico is facing with his USP ready for the first contact, and this first kill could decide things in round 16. Not quite going their way as Nico gets caught off guard to the mid control. Looks for a core steal, does the damage, and actually opens up the round.
A good start coming through from G2, but they have taken a lot of damage, and for mousesports, they're now starting to regroup up in the upper tunnels. They've got to deal with this player out towards back plat from Jax.
He's tapping to do some damage, doesn't quite get those frags in here. Molotov's back up, flashes over. Amanek facing. Doesn't see anything. Jax also seen, taps through. Blocks eventually find those kills. Rops comes up with two, in fact, actually. Bomb plant secured, and G2 on the back foot for the retake.
A difficult retake here without a kit for G2, but for mousesports, they're just all holding their ground. 4 versus 3 advantage. They've got the man up. And for G2, they've got to be able to get a way back into this, and they've been able to do so. Hunter now dealing with Robs. Now the player's starting to swing out from the doors position. Hunter gathering more information. Nico out from window, can't find anything. Hunter with another tap through. Needs his teammate to come through, but it doesn't quite happen. 11 now up on the board for mousesports, converting pistol. A great way to continue their campaign in the second half.
Great way to continue the momentum from the first half. Big stuff posted up by the mousesports camp again on their opponent's map pick. The rebuy will come through from G2, of course, forcing the issue back with these Deagles. And they're going to make it successful to start. Bomb gets dropped by Jax early. Ropson and Core, however, hold down the 3 trades. So they just maintain themselves against G2's Deagles. Again, these pistols have been very deadly over the course of this series, but in this round, I won't see the same situation.
Yeah, so many tagged up players, but 1v4 from Hunter is just not really going to happen. They already know that that scout's out towards Cast. They could just bring that bomb out towards the B side, try and keep him at bay with in terms of the utility. But for G2, this is an impossible round. Smoke even goes down towards CT, so the only way the Hunter can really get any more damage is if he pushes through that smoke. And even for that, Frozen's are going to be ready for the play. Hunter trying to get on the edge of the right-hand side. Spam coming in. Hunter does find one, tries to pick up the Galil. Still getting away with a little bit of damage here.
Thinking about going for the Molotov there in the tunnels to try and see if they can force the issue on a core a little bit more. The Scout's ready for the shot though, and that will not last longer. 3 kills for the Scout. Galil picked in for the 18th round. mousesports dealing with the force buy for G2 pretty effectively. And one more eco to set themselves up on victory row here. G2 to focus on those rifle rounds coming into round 19. And the problem is that there's such little breathing room. Any mistakes will let mousesports get to 14, and then to 15, and then to 16. It's a case of just a couple of mistakes here for G2. And give the series back over to the mouse side. Of course, the buy isn't perfect for the T's, but it doesn't need to be.
And for mousesports, they're 4 from 4 in winning pistols, and G2 are only 1 from 4 in winning the force buy round in the second. And so it's been seen in the first half of Vertigo and both halves of Dust 2 that mousesports have been able to get off to early leads, get off to good starts, and even this execution in towards the B side, the stack's out from mid, so they might not have to run into any of these CT players. Dexter might want to, considering he's the one with the Mac 10, but for mousesports, the B side's open, this is an easy 13th.
Dexter with the frag for the smoke on Hunter as well to ensure that there's no real contention. Still going to wrap in towards the entrance at the tunnels. BMAS seeing CT players unable to connect his shots on the one man. Will continue his taps though, and the pistols actually will start to overwhelm. So a bit more of a concerning feature here for mousesports to lose his AK, especially to give it away to the CT side. Going to try to see if they can get BMAS back out into the CT spawn because there's nobody out there. Taps just continue trying to find a kill for G2. But so long as Akor and Rops maintain their position, as long as they just maintain their lives, back in the lower tunnels especially is where they'll be the safest. And they shouldn't have many problems at all. 13 to the board, looking like it will be casualtyless here for mousesports. Mac 10 tries to hunt for the secondary pick, not quite there for Dexter. And the AWP out for Akor immediately, half bonus round in for them. Heavy investment on his part, but the Mac 10 stays in, the Galil stays in as well.
13 to 5. G2 pretty much did a miracle, really, from here if they want to kind of bounce back. Amanek and Nexa having a really tough game. 2 kills for Nexa and only 4 for Amanek. And this could be the chance, you know, winning this rifle round, really bringing it back. And for mousesports, it might be a straight rush out towards the B side.
Seems to be M4 burst up at Jax. Dexter gets in with the kill. Starts things off right. Hunter trades back on Frozen to a 4 versus 4. Burst through, trying to do some more damage, trying to get some more frags in. It's not quite going to happen for him, though. Molotovs will suppress. Bomb plant will be secured by Rops pretty easily. Smokes back at the mid doors will lead to a 4v4. The retake is on for G2. They want to try their hand at this. Nade back of cars, not going to do any damage. No one's waiting there for the T side line. Akor turns his attention away from tunnels, focuses on the B site itself because that's where G2 have revealed their hand. Flashes going over from Rocks to try and suppress. They've run out of utility here on T side, but their utility usage has been enough with no kit in play for G2 and no picks going their way. No rover extensions found. They decide it's best to throw in the towel, keep their rifles out, and go 14-5 down.
They really needed to go for that retake, but they just can't get it. There's a position where, because mousesports rushing towards the B side, they get that bomb down so early, there's just so many more nades to work with on the post plant. It's re-smoking up towards doors, up from window, and just flash after flash after flash. And G2 realize it's probably not worth it. Like, we go into that, it's kind of do or die, but at the same time, so is where the situation is from them. 5 to 14 now. mousesports, what a way to come back into the series after losing their map pick of Vertigo at 12 to 16. They come back in towards Dust 2, and they're 2 rounds away from taking us to Mirage, the 3rd map of the series.
Quick flashes in T-side players, trying to make their way up and out into long control very early here for mousesports. This time Amanek is ready for it. Or pick from Car. Flash over the wall as well. Incendiary down for Nico. Expect there to be some mid-presence, but the majority of the forces here for mousesports. Here you're going to play into the A site. No such luck, it seems, for them on the trades back. No opportunities found against G2.
Now, Amanek stuck towards this card position, so he needs a little bit of help, whether it's a smoke down or a flash over the top, to at least allow him to create a bit of an angle for himself, just to see if he can get another pick off. They know that he's here, and Akor's just waiting for that shoulder bait, just waiting for the angle, and now the molly's coming in.
Amanek smoke off. Keep himself in position. The York trying to fire back on Akor. Amanek taking no damage, actually finding a bit of a gap in that smoke. Nico finds the kill on BMAS. Dexter and Rops trade back on those 2 players. 3v3 found eventually. Rops continuing, facing a just against Hunter's head. And now The backstab of Jax is the best thing they've got in this round. I don't know if they're aware of it here for the T side, but the bomb could get dropped. The AWP goes down instead, and now the bomb's got to force the issue. Nexa takes the frag back to the man advantage. All on Rops now to clutch it. 2 kills to his name. Needing to find a quadra clutch here. He swings slowly, looks for Nexa. Back's turn, Jackson spray back. M4 can't connect the kill, but Nexa finds it in the end. Maintains that 6 for G2. mousesports will not go one-sided, at least not for now.
It's still a good round for mousesports when you think about how much damage they do. Like, their economy is stacked. They've got money for days. Whereas for G2, the same can't really be said for them. Now, on 2,900 loss bonus, with 3 players under 1,000 in terms of the reserve, if G2 lose round 21, their buy into the next is going to look pretty horrendous. It's a survival round, though, and that's what G2 need, but they need to be able to follow up, and they're bringing a lot of players out towards this long control, meaning that B is very much undefended, and so is mid. They can run in towards this B side, only have to deal with 1 player.
Dexter's just wide facing, indicating that there's only 1 player out here. The smokes will try